Good evening, ghosts and ghouls. It's the one, the only JT Ripper, and I'm here with the one that puts the ho and holy shit,
Todd of Thunder.
And we're back with a horrible podcast. We had to upgrade our equipment, try to sound a little bit more professional.
Plus, I had a horrible tooth infection.
Yeah, it was terrible. It looked like somebody beat him with a fucking dildo. It was terrible.
Yeah, I felt like I got beat by a dildo.
Yeah, you look like you got beat by a dildo.
But we're back, and this episode is going to be our top 5 favorite Christmas horror films.
Yeah, because 'tis the season to be horrible. Ha 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 ha. Fuck me.
Exactly.
Exactamundo.
Yeah, I guess we'll jump right into this.
We'll start with the honorable mentions first.
Okay, I know you said you put down 2. I put down just 1.
That's fine.
My honorable mention is Black Christmas 2006.
That's a good remake.
Yeah, I love this remake. It's a classic slasher film, and it's fun and it's very rewatchable.
Yeah,
and
it's parts of it I actually like a little bit better than the original.
Yeah, I mean, I almost put this at number 5 on my list, but I want it to be a little bit more diverse. So
yeah,
I put it at an honorable mention. So what's yours, buddy?
I got 2 because I was very tired. I just watched, believe it or not, for the first time, Better Watch Out from 2017.
Yeah.
It's a great invasion movie with a great twist to it. If you've never seen it, have you seen Better Watch Out?
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Yeah. That's where I watched it because I was looking at like holiday movies to check out and everything, and a lot of people recommended this, and it's really fucking good. Great twist.
Yeah, it's one of those holiday invasion type of movies.
Yeah, the kid is actually the killer. He's fucking out of his gourd, and the acting in it is fucking stupendous. It almost made number 5, believe it or not, on my list.
Nice.
But my next honorable mention is Jack Frost from '97.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
It's one of those, like, very horrible train wreck kind of movies, but you can't help but watch it. I mean, it's about a serial killer that, gets in a car. They're trying to ship him off to execute him, and then it's an accident. He gets free, and then like the antifreeze busts on him and somehow melts him, and then he goes into the snow, and then he comes back as a serial killer snowman.
Right. It's pretty similar to Child's Play, how he just transfers his soul into the doll.
Yeah, but not as good.
Yeah, not as good. It's a low budget film, but again, it's fun.
A lot of cheesy one-liners.
Yeah,
talking about frostbite here.
Yeah,
I'm freezing my snowballs off.
Again, I mean, it's low budget, but it's fun. You'll have a good time with it if you've never seen it.
And there's a scene where he uses his carrot nose to have sex with a woman.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It's very disturbing. But it's fun. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's free on Tubi. Actually, both of them are free on Tubi right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so check them out. You have no reason not to check these 2 movies out.
And I believe the sequel
to Jack Frost is on there too.
Yeah, it's on there.
It's all good. It's not really as Christmassy as.
No, I believe it takes place in like the summertime, but he's still a snowman.
Yeah, it's in the Bahamas actually.
I think he has to like kill people before he melts or something.
I don't know. I don't remember. It's stupid. They kill him with antifreeze, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump into our top 5 favorite Christmas movies, and I'm very excited about this list because I get to talk about one of my all-time fucking favorites soon.
Absolutely.
So what's your number 5?
My number 5 is from 2005.
Ooh.
And it's Santa's Sleigh.
That's funny. That's my number 5 too.
Yeah.
With one of my idols growing up was Bill Goldberg. He was a professional wrestler from the 90s. Every kid wanted to be like him or Stone Cold growing up. Me personally, I was always kind of more lenient on Goldberg. I don't know. I just thought he was this fucking monster.
Yeah, perception is reality, and they perceived him to be just killing machine, and we were the perfect age to buy into that. So
Yeah, and we did, and I still mark out for Goldberg.
yeah, I mean he's he'll never be a technical wizard in the ring like a Ricky Steamboat or a Ric Flair, but
No.
he didn't need to be. He was exactly what he needed to be. He stood out from everybody else,
Yeah.
which is why he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and he plays Santa Claus in this fucking movie.
Yeah, one word that you're going to hear me repeat over and over on this little countdown is fun, because you really can't do a Christmas horror movie without it being like just fun and goofy and just having a good time. And this movie is no different. It's a low budget film, but everything they do pretty well, and it's entertaining. And it's even more entertaining when you are a fan of Goldberg and you're seeing him as Santa being the killer and doing all this crazy stuff. It's even more of a good time.
Yeah, and once again, it has your cheesy one-liners in it. Pretty good gore. It's a pretty good B-rated movie. If I could say anything about it, on a scale from 1 to 10, I give it probably. I mean, we do 1 to 10. Sorry, it's been a while since we've done this. From 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a good hard 5, 5.5 maybe.
I might go a little higher.
Yeah.
I'd have to sit down and think about it, but maybe 6.5, just because it's not a great movie, but it's again the word fun comes up. And this movie has no right to be as good as it is. So
Yeah, I don't know why it's so rewatchable and enjoyable, but I tend to watch it every year.
yeah, you can watch it. If anything, just to get some laughs out of it. I mean, and
I'm not sure.
nothing wrong with that.
I'm not sure I don't think you can stream that on any platform right now. Yeah, because I tried to look it up and you have to buy it right now, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
All right, what's your number 4, Home Slice?
My number 4 is from 2015 and is Krampus.
What do you know? That's my number 4 too.
Yeah,
Just
Krampus.
rewatched this actually last night.
Yeah, I rewatched it a couple weeks ago. Krampus is one of those films where it went to theaters. It did pretty good, and I was surprised that afterwards, I figured that like every year they could come out with a Krampus movie.
Yeah.
With a different family, being stalked or being terrorized by Krampus, but they didn't really take advantage of that, which led to a lot of imitation movies popping up.
Really bad imitation.
Yeah.
When Paranormal Activity came out, and then you have Activity Paranormal or Ghost Paranormal or Paranormal Ghost, and B-rated shit like that. And then you got like Krampus versus Santa Claus.
Yeah, it was like Mother Krampus. Was
Mother
one
Krampus.
Of them.
Krampus spelled a different way.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there's no trademark on Krampus, so anybody can do it. And they saw the success of the film, and
of course they're going to try to scheme off of it,
because the big company didn't really take advantage of it or anything. They made it. Some of them are decent watches. Most of them are
pretty shitty,
pretty horrible. But
not in a good way.
Yeah, the 2015 one though, I think is the best out of any Krampus movie, portraying that character, taking on that myth, taking on that legend of Krampus, and
and it plays to the legend of Krampus to the T. The German folklore and how he comes to collect the people,
that's been naughty,
and that don't believe in Christmas anymore, that doesn't have the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, and this is one of those films where you can come back to, and you can, you might not remember everything about it, but if you come back to it, in my case, it becomes more enjoyable, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that this was as good as I thought it was.
Yeah, like every time I watch this movie, I find something new I like about it, or find something funny I like about it. Plus, it's got pretty good practical effects for the most part. CGI kind of holds up still, with the gingerbread men.
Yeah.
The ending is still, I don't know. It's still kind of like, I still don't quite understand it. I think that they all died, or I don't know. Like, the ending of the movie has always kind of baffled me.
Well, I've always took it as, you know, all these horrible things that happen, they didn't really happen. It's kind of like Krampus showing you what will happen. That's what I got out of it. Like,
That's a good take.
like if you don't straighten up, like
This
that-
can be your future.
yeah, like that whole like Christmas ball at the end that had the Krampus name on it was
Yeah.
just to remind you, hey, you know, all this wasn't real, but it could be.
Oh, that's a pretty good point. Yeah, it's still a good movie. If I was to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, I would probably give it, I don't know, maybe 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5 sounds pretty good to me. My number 3 movie on my list is from 1984, and it's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
All right. Well, we're right there neck and neck.
Yeah, this is a movie that the studio did take advantage of and released several movies of these, but none of them are really memorable except
Oh, my
for
God.
the second one, which is very, very horrible.
Garbage Day.
Yeah, it really horrible dialogue in that film. It's on. It's literally when you look at like top worst movies ever made, it's always on there. But
Which I don't understand because I think 4 and 5 is pretty shitty. Like, and I was gonna like possibly like go and rank these, but there's no reason to.
no,
But yeah,
I personally, for me, I still think part 2 is the worst one. At least some of them, like Bill Moseley plays in one, Mickey Rooney plays in another about a toy maker.
Bill Moseley plays in 3.
Yeah, he's like a brain dead fucking
Yeah, he
serial
has
killer.
one line. He's
And-
supposed to be the serial killer, I think, from the first one, right?
It's been a while since I've seen it. I just remember he's
Yeah.
in it. And I
But-
remember the girl that plays in it is like blonde.
Yeah, she has like psychic abilities, or no. She can like they were doing the testing, like she saw what he saw, and she could see
Yeah,
his
they
memories
they
and
were
stuff
like
like that.
connected in some way.
Yeah. But
But-
then when you go to like part 4 is when it like starts getting like psychic ability. It gets far away from like the actual plot of the movie.
Yeah,
And
but-
like I think part 5 has, if I remember right, something to do with like possession of toys and shit.
Yeah, Mickey Rooney plays like this character, and he has like a son. And you find out at the end the son is actually like a toy. He made him, and he was the one going around killing everybody. And he got out of control to where Mickey Rooney's character couldn't control him anymore, and he was obsessed with like this one woman and her son.
Yeah.
So, but we're talking about the first one right here. The first one.
Yeah, the
is
first one's the
great.
best one.
The first one is basically about this kid who sees a guy dressed in a Santa Claus outfit kill his mom and dad, and he grows up pretty much traumatized by the thought of Santa Claus. And
Rightfully so.
yeah, and when he grows up, though, something like connects in him to where he dresses up like Santa and he punishes people that he claims to be, on the naughty list type of deal. And it's a slasher film, and it's a fantastic slasher film. And for years and years, it was like one of the only Christmas horror movies. Like, if you look at like Christmas horror movies, like quality, like movies that actually went to theaters and are big movies, there's not many of them. A lot of them are just B-rated like movies that you'll find, like Elf, but it's not like Elf with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
It's like Elf, Elf on the shelf with the knife and all that shit, and it's horrible CGI.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
stuff
bad
like that,
Christmas
but
movies.
Silent Night, Deadly Night is definitely it's not fun isn't a word I would describe this, but if you're into slashers, this is definitely for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a goodie. What's your number 2, buddy?
My number 2 is also from 1984, and it's Gremlins.
Okay, now we're different.
Yeah. I'll just give my take on Gremlins. I know you're going to do it later on. Gremlins is the most rewatchable movie on this list. Gremlins is, I mean, it's a legendary movie, and it's a gateway film for anybody who wants to get into horror. Like, this is not a film that you have to keep away from the kids or anything. You can let the kids watch it by themselves or watch it as a family. And it's just, again, the word fun comes up with it. Great cast, great atmosphere. You know, of course, we're talking about Christmas movies here, so it brings that Christmas feeling to the film. The little gremlins in the movie are they're not necessarily terrifying, but they're terrorizing. I mean, they're there to cause mischief. You know, which is pretty hand to hand, you know, goes with like Christmas. You know, you got the good boys and girls, and then you got the boys and girls that cause mischief. And the gremlins are kind of like the representation of all the bad kids in the world.
I can see that. Yeah.
And you got Gizmo, who is the one true, like, good one, who represents all the good boys and girls of the world. So it's a little deeper meaning, you know, that I happen to think that, you know, goes hand in hand with each other. But
that's a pretty good take on it.
Yeah, I love this film. I love the second one, even though the second one isn't a Christmas themed movie. But Gremlins not only, you know, is going to be on this list, of course, but, you know, when we do a top 40, top 50 favorite horror movies just in general of all time, it's going to find a spot on my list, no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 2 is Black Christmas. I'm pretty sure you're going to dive into that here in a few.
Yeah.
What can I say about Black Christmas? The 1974 version is the one I'm talking about, of course.
Yeah.
Not the woke version. I mean, it has some good comedy elements to it. It's got a great plot to it, very dark, very creepy. I've always enjoyed it. I don't want to take up too much time because I know you're going to deep dive into Black Christmas, but it's got great killings. It's got a great plot. It's definitely going to find its way on my top 40 also with this one. You can't. It's definitely top tier when it comes to good Christmas movies, Christmas horror movies, actually.
Yeah, it's my number 1, obviously.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and elaborate.
Yeah, Black Christmas was a Canadian slasher film that preceded Halloween, Friday the 13th. All those films that you think of are slasher films. This movie gets lost in the shuffle for not only being one of the first holiday-themed movies, but being one of the first true blue slasher films. It was a little bit, little bit after Chainsaw. It came, you know, they both came out at the same time, but Black Christmas to me is more of a slasher film than Chainsaw is. But it helped bring in, it helped films like Friday the 13th and Halloween become big the way they was, as far as slasher films go.
It definitely inspired.
Yeah, it was inspired, and you know, it's kind of a shame. I mean, it gets the love that it should nowadays, but for a long time, it was a film that were overlooked simply because it just was. I mean, in the 70s, you didn't have a lot of horror movies come out as far as quality, or excuse me, quantity, but you had a lot of quality horror films. It was like, you know, here and there, but they were all like very important films.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the 70s and 80s, in my opinion. In the 80s, you had so much to choose from, but you also had a great deal of shit as well.
Right.
In the 70s, you didn't have room to make a shitty horror movie.
Right.
So, and this falls in that category as far as like that, the atmosphere of that whole creepiness and that stalking that we got in Halloween is strictly from Black Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, he says it was inspired from Black Christmas.
Yeah.
John Carpenter.
And, like I said, this was directed by a guy named Bob Clark. And, he didn't do a whole lot of horror films. As far as I'm concerned, this was like his only horror film he ever did. So...
Hey, he made a iconic one,
Yeah, and it's one of those films that, you look back on, and, the 2006 remake put a lot more comedy into it, but it was still enjoyable. 2019 had absolutely nothing to do with it and went woke and was just a terrible movie altogether.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about, like, the classic horror movies of the 70s.
Yeah.
And, this one goes hand in hand with a movie like When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah.
Meaning that it really captures that suspense atmospheres. Those are the types of movies that if Alfred Hitchcock would have lived and continued to make, those were the type of movies that he would have made.
Right. And they did a very good job with taking the Christmas concept and making it to where it's not cheesy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Christmas horror movies really get lost in the fucking cheesiness and like cringe factor.
Yeah, and they took real life situations where, the prank phone calls.
Yeah.
And that's what the police, chalked it up as, is just prank phone calls, but listen to what he says. I mean, it's very disturbing stuff, what he says.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that you couldn't even get away with typing online today.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Let alone saying on somebody's phone.
Oh, my God, if you did that, you'd be in jail.
Yeah, and you legitimately felt...
Excuse me.
Like, scared for these women.
Right.
And, not to get on a political rant or anything, but... think about the whole concept of this movie. It's a guy stalking this fraternity full of women, and he's picking them off one by one. Some people's like, oh, that's sexist or whatever. Like, no, it's not sexist because that's the way women are. They're vulnerable.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with portraying women as vulnerable because that's the way they are in real life.
Right.
So... And if this was like a college dorm full of dudes, it wouldn't be as effective, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, no, I definitely agree with you. If he was going after a bunch of, like, muscle-bound, drunk dipshits, he would have more of a fight on his hands, Of course, disgusting people stalk prey that they think's weaker than them until they meet that prey that actually isn't weaker than them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what happens. You know what I mean? But I'll jump into my number one. I think it's pretty obvious. You know me. And it's 1984 Gremlins. I fucking love this movie. Like, I am obsessed with this movie. It's unhealthy, my obsession with this movie. I have gizmos all over my house. I have a Gremlins collection that is to die for. This, to me, is like the perfect holiday movie, horror holiday movie next to Halloween. Halloween you watch on Halloween. Gremlins I watch every year for Christmas. This movie is like the perfect blend of creepy, scary, funny, original, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Well, actually, Joe Dante.
Joe Dante, excuse me.
Spielberg was the executive producer.
Excuse me.
But without him, it probably wouldn't have been brought, on a big screen like it was. It wouldn't have been presented as a big deal.
And they actually changed this movie. I don't know how many people know that, but originally this was supposed to be like a very violent horror movie. The Gremlins, Gizmo was actually supposed to be Stripe. So it was the dog was going to get eaten, the mom was going to get decapitated. It was just some horrible shit in there. But they changed it and went more of a PG route, which I actually think is better.
Yeah, it definitely served the movie a lot better.
Yeah, I don't think it would be as iconic or a classic because Critters went the extreme route. And,
to a certain extent.
Well, to a certain extent.
They went further. It still had a fun aspect to it. They didn't cross a line.
No. But I'm saying, like, it wasn't PG. Like, you can't sit down and watch Critters with your little kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gremlins you can. Because, I mean, everybody, loves Gizmo, thinks he's cute and everything. It's, the music's great in it, the atmosphere, the acting, fucking spectacular. You got, like, your lead female that was in, God, what was she?
She was in Drop Dead Fred.
She was in Drop Dead Fred.
She was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yep, that's it.
Phoebe.
Phoebe.
Somebody out there
Yeah.
is like screaming her last name and
Yeah,
going,
I know.
"You fucking idiot."
Yeah, can't help it.
Phoebe Gates?
Maybe.
Gates? Something like that?
I don't know.
Anyway, she was pretty hot.
She was beautiful. Then you have Zach, they played Billy in the movie. The main guy.
Zach Galligan.
Yeah, and he was also in
Waxwork.
If you haven't seen that movie, it's a great, it's kind of a horror comedy. Kind of, it's got some comedy elements to it.
Yeah.
But it's a very good movie. But I love this movie. It just makes me happy watching it. I can just pop this movie and watch it anytime.
A very early Corey Feldman as well.
Oh yeah, as a kid.
And the guy from the Beverly Hills Cops movies and played in the Santa Claus.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name neither. And then you had the little Asian boy that was in Goonies and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Kudos to him. But yeah, it's just one of those fun, great movies. Some good like one-liners. Just a great story. I mean, fucking Gizmo is just one of those iconic horror icons.
Or heroes.
Yeah, it's one of the few good guys in horror that, you can cheer for. Everybody's cheering for Gizmo. Especially in part 2 when he, like, goes Rambo Gizmo. And part 2 is just great. You'll definitely be hearing me talk about part 2 when we talk about horror comedies because it is fucking great. I love the route that they went. I'm kind of disappointed they never did a part 3. There's been talks over the years and everything, but if you haven't seen Gremlins, this is like you said, a very good gateway movie for your kids. I don't think it's hardly any cuss words in it.
No,
very minimal. I think maybe like damn and hell right off the top of my head. I can't think, but it just like warms my heart watching this movie. I don't know why. This is just one of those like movies I watched as a kid, and I just like was goo eyes for it. I remember my grandma and grandpa actually got me a little like Gizmo from the movie for one Christmas, and I had that thing for freaking ever. Just fell in love with the movie. I mean, it just has such a good charm about it. And yet the Gremlins did creep me out as a kid too.
Yeah, and I've always thought that this was a great premises for a television show.
Well,
I thought it would have been one of those television shows where you don't have to take any risk because it's PG.
Well, believe it or not, when Beetlejuice and everything came out as a cartoon, you can actually find drawings and sketch art of Gremlins. It was going to be a fucking cartoon series.
Well, Gremlins was promoted. I remember the promotion for Gremlins and Gremlins 2. It was always promoted like a kids movie, like the same way that you could go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal of the new Family movie that came out. You could do that with Gremlins.
Yeah.
Like that.
It was a very marketable horror movie.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like, oh, take your family to see it. Surprise! It's actually a horror movie.
Well, I remember. I believe it was. I think might have been Pizza Hut. Back when Pizza Hut had
toys,
had awesome stuff. I remember I had the. It was a book. It was the Gremlins book that came with a pair of like 3D glasses.
Yeah,
or some
and
shit
I think
like
it
that.
also had like a vinyl record too that came out.
Probably, but that was back when Pizza Hut like actually gave out. I remember I got a basketball there that had like it was like a signature Shaquille O'Neal basketball.
Yeah, back when
it was black.
When they gave out toys and stuff. I remember having some
They
Johnny
had a
Quest
jukebox.
toys actually.
Yeah, you go in the store and it actually had a buffet and it had a fucking jukebox, and Pizza Hut was awesome back in the day.
You could buy beer and pizza.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did.
Well, to give a little bit more news on Gremlins, since we are on the subject, they're actually coming out with an animated series. It's supposed to debut next year. It's going to be on HBO Max.
Well,
And it's an origin story. It is voiced by the same actors and actresses. We'll see how it is.
yeah, I mean, the only thing we can do is just to see, check it out as it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll at least live up to being, acceptable.
I hope so. I do not want to be disappointed. It's the first thing we've had Gremlins related in so long, and it's just one of those things that you still you can go to Walmart right now and you can buy Gremlins ornaments. They got a gizmo with a Santa Claus hat. I mean, it's a reason why they still make Gremlins merchandise, because it's just one of those iconic like Christmas movies, and I watch it every year because it's just that good, and it holds up, and it gets better and better every time I see it. And we actually had the privilege of year before last, to go see it in theaters. And
we've seen it on the big screen.
Seen it on the big screen. Definitely was like a kid in a candy store, man. Oh Lord! But it was good times. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. Watch it with your kids. See how they like it. See if they want to get into horror a little bit more.
Absolutely, and I guess that's going to wrap it up with this little countdown list.
Yeah, I think we knocked a couple out of the park. Good comeback and everything.
Yeah, hopefully to people that actually listen to this, we sound better. We sound more clear.
Hopefully it sounds more crisp.
We sound more crisp. It doesn't seem like we're far away from our mic. We both have our own mics now, so
yeah, got a whole new system set up.
Yeah, got a new system set up. I'm over the tooth infection, so be looking for more of stuff. To come. We're going to continue to do what we do, and it's just going to sound a lot better.
Yeah, definitely got some horrible conversations. Going to go see The Mean One tomorrow. We'll have a review on that this weekend. We're going to be busy. We're going to try to start posting 2 episodes a week, Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
So, but it's been real and it's been fun. I'm JT Ripper.
And I'm Todd of Thunder. Saying toodaloo.
Gremlins!